right, we'll give folks a chance to come. They're coming in. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Before we get started, we have a couple of housekeeping items to share with you. Today's session is being recorded. We welcome any questions that you may have, and you can use the chat feature to share your questions with the panelists, and we will address them throughout today's webinar. We also would like to welcome you to share any comments that you may have for our guest. And with that, I would like to turn the program over to our moderator for today's program, Mr. Roland Edwards.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being with us today. My name is Roland Edwards. I am the Acting Chief Human Capital Officer for DHS, but more importantly today, I have the pleasure of serving as your moderator for our program. I would first like to turn to DHS Secretary Mayorkas to provide opening remarks.
Roland, thank you so very much for hosting us this afternoon. Everyone, thank you for joining us on this special day. If I can say a little bit about Roland Edwards, who is the Chief Human Capital Officer of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. One of the most important forces in life is people, and identifying, recognizing talent, recognizing the potential that an individual has to make a difference in life, and really allowing that potential to be realized and grow and prosper. And that is what Roland does every single day in the Department of Homeland Security. And we are going to be very privileged to hear from very special people today, both two individuals who create opportunities for others, Elizabeth Lindsey of Urban Alliance and Hillary Jones of On-Ramps to Careers. And then we're going to be privileged to hear from some young people who have taken advantage of programs and who really will help us realize a far, far better tomorrow than we have today, and a better today than we had yesterday. And I think that is what Dr. King was all about. What Dr. King personified and what we remember and commit to on this special day is not only the power that one individual can have in the world, but also the power of an opportunity, the ability to create opportunities that each of us has, and to exploit those opportunities for the betterment of others and the world in which we live. Dr. King said that anyone could be great because anyone can serve. And we are extremely proud to serve in the Department of Homeland Security and to be convening with these wonderful people on the webinar today to really recommit and rededicate ourselves to service. The Department of Homeland Security has many, many opportunities to serve, as do federal agencies and departments across the federal enterprise. And there's so many different ways to serve in one's local communities, on one's block, in one's home, and right before your very eyes. And the great people, the really great people, and we're going to hear from them shortly, create opportunities where previously they might not have existed. And we're really, really proud to have this discussion on this special day when we commemorate an extraordinary human being. And we commemorate him not by words, not by conversations, but by our actions and our commitment to continue to act in his spirit of service, of justice, of peace, and of rights for all. So with that, Roland, I'll turn it back over to you. I'm incredibly grateful to have this opportunity to really introduce all of you participating in this webinar with such special people. Thank you.
Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for those inspirational opening remarks. Before diving into today's discussion with you, I'd also like to introduce our speakers for today. Please join me in welcoming Urban Alliance CEO Elizabeth Lindsey. Ms. Elizabeth Lindsey became CEO of Urban Alliance in April 2021. Previously, as CEO of Bite Back, she was one of the Root 100 most influential African Americans of 2019. On Ramps to Careers Managing Director Hillary Jones. Hillary Jones serves as the Managing Director of On Ramps to Careers. Hillary began her career working in West Baltimore City Schools as a community school coordinator and director of education. Urban Alliance Youth Panelist, Davette Williams. Davette is a former DHS Transportation and Security Administration intern through Urban Alliance and is a transfer student at Trinity Washington University. She will soon return to the University of Massachusetts Lowell to continue her undergraduate studies in psychology. Urban Alliance Youth Panelist, Zamiya Sabour. Zamiya Sabour is also a former DHS intern through Urban Alliance and is currently a junior at Howard University, majoring in international business with a focus in marketing, consulting, and entrepreneurship. On Ramps to Careers Youth Panelist, Nathan McAlpine. Nathan is an aspiring computer scientist. He completed 3 internships through the On Ramps to Careers program, one of which was at DHS during summer 2020. And our last panelist, On Ramps to Careers Youth Panelist, William McAlpine. William is a former DHS Customs and Border Protection intern through Urban Alliance. He is currently a Posse Scholar at Lafayette College, member of the fencing team, and co-president of the Grossman House for Global Perspectives. I know we are all excited for today's panel discussion, so let's get right to it. Back over to you, Mr. Secretary.
Roland, thank you so much. I think I'll start by asking a question, if I may, of Elizabeth Lindsey. Elizabeth, congratulations first and foremost on your new position as the Chief Executive Officer of this extraordinary organization.
Thank you.
I'd really love it if you would really share some information about what the organization is all about and what you accomplish in the organization for underrepresented and underprivileged communities, because it's quite extraordinary and impactful.
Thank you so much, Secretary, and thank you all for hosting us and organizing this incredible event. We're so honored to be here. My name is Elizabeth Lindsey. I'm the CEO of Urban Alliance. Urban Alliance is a 25-year-old nonprofit. We have sites in Detroit, DC, Baltimore, and Chicago. And we connect incredible young people. I'm so excited to get to hear from a couple of them today. We connect incredible high school seniors with paid internships in places like DHS. And we support young adults in figuring out what they want to do post-high school and really helping them to come up with a plan for their journey into adulthood and into really exciting and great careers. We have linked over 6,000 young adults across the country with paid job opportunities and supported them as they moved into college and into their jobs. Paid work-based learning, so in other words, internships or apprenticeships, are so impactful for young people. There are lots of different ways that young people benefit from having access to a job, a really great and exciting job or internship when they're in high school. One of the ways that young people benefit is that you learn skills on a job. So if you are placed in an internship at an office, you might learn how to use email in a different way. You might create PowerPoint presentations or work on an Excel document. You have the opportunity to be in meetings and learn how do you make a presentation in a meeting. Those skills are so valuable for young people and are skills that they'll take and utilize throughout their careers. Other ways that young people benefit from paid internships are that young people get exposure to lots of different types of jobs and roles. We all kind of know what we see. So we might know the types of jobs or opportunities that our parents have or that our neighbors have, but getting an internship at a place like DHS, where there are hundreds and hundreds of different types of jobs and careers, having that internship really helps young people to see the full realm of possibility that's out there for them. And then finally, young people really benefit from paid work experiences because they have access to a new professional network. And we have our personal networks through our churches, schools, friends, family, but internships really give us this opportunity to meet different types of people and to meet people who might connect us with a job or might be someone who can support us and give us feedback as we're moving into our careers. And so I am just so thrilled and honored to have the opportunity to lead this organization that is so connected and committed to supporting young people in getting these incredible life-changing opportunities.
Elizabeth, thanks so much. You know, you mentioned the word network, you know, and networking. It is so very important that one meets individuals with different interests who can help everyone, you know, realize the opportunities that are before them. And I also think there's another type of networking, and that is the work that one performs. When one does well, it opens doors and it introduces one to other people because of the reputation that one's work has. You know, Elizabeth, we in the Department of Homeland Security, as you know so well, we do so many different things, whether it's cybersecurity or the fight against violent extremism, climate change, of course, immigration, so many different things. What are you finding to be the career paths that youth are very interested in?
That's a great question. I think one of the beautiful things about work-based learning is that it's so broad that we're able to connect young people with so many different types of opportunities and ways to learn a new job or a new skill set. We have a lot of young people who are very interested in IT and cybersecurity, as you said. We have a lot of young people who express interest in healthcare. We have a really great real estate pathway where we're linking young people with opportunities in property management and maintenance. There's just a really wide array of the types of jobs and the types of roles that young people are interested in. And we also have young people who are just not sure what they want to do yet. And I think having the opportunity to try something out and to meet people doing a different type of work or a type of work you've never thought of before, never heard of before, can really make a huge difference in helping you to understand what you want to do with your life and what kind of education or continued training or career path that you want to enter into.
Elizabeth, did you know from an early age that you wanted to go into a career of service?
You know what? I did. I am a first-generation college student. I'm the first person in my family to, have the opportunity to have this level of education. And I always knew that I wanted to support other people to have the same kinds of opportunities that I've had. But of course, I didn't know kind of what that meant. I didn't know what that would look like. And I was very lucky that right out of college, my first job was working in a nonprofit. And I always think back to that first job because I was exposed. I was exposed to the world of what would it be like to work in a nonprofit? And I really loved it. And I spent time in government, and having that opportunity to learn that world was so wonderful to me. So yeah, it's been, I mean, like you, Secretary, as you know, there's nothing like dedicating your life to supporting others and dedicating your life to service. It really is wonderful.
That is so true, Elizabeth, and thank you so much for sharing those thoughts. Elizabeth used the term lucky. I actually may quote a famous baseball manager who gave the first Black man an opportunity to play in Major League Baseball. Jackie Robinson, of course, was the legendary groundbreaker, and Branch Rickey was the manager who gave him the opportunity, who had the courage to stand up at a very discriminatory time. And Branch Rickey said, "Luck is the residue of design." Luck is the residue of design.
I love that.
Me too.
So true.
Me too. Hillary, thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much.
Hillary, you too are dedicating your talent and energies to service. Why don't you share with us a little bit about yourself and your extraordinary organization that has created opportunities for others?
Sure, and thank you so much again for having us. It's such an amazing opportunity. On-Ramps loves partnering with DHS, and we're so happy to be here today. Just a little bit about my background. We're talking about our journeys and our past and how valuable experience is. I actually had my very first job working for my father. He was an ED of a Boys and Girls Club in Roxbury, Massachusetts. That's actually the same one that he went to as a child. And that's really where I saw service for the first time, and it became something that I was extremely passionate about. So really, again, as Elizabeth mentioned, getting that exposure is so important. And that's really at the root for us. What we focus on is we want students to know what they can do, what they're capable of. And we try to do everything we can to put them in as many situations that really match what they're interested in or what could possibly be interested in them. As Elizabeth also said, we know young people may not know what they want to do. But on-ramps in particular, we really focus on DC youth who are interested in STEM opportunities for careers. We know in the past maybe 10 years that DC has really been booming. It's a tech hub. And we have all these amazing jobs that are coming to our city and not enough qualified individuals in the city that could actually fill these positions. And we see that as a problem. We are highly underrepresented in Black and Latinx individuals in tech fields, and we want to change that. And so we know that our young people just need the opportunities. So what we really focus on is creating a talent pipeline that's inclusive, that's diverse. And so our partners are everything to us. DHS and everything from small startups that we work with to large companies like Accenture that have dedicated every year and taken on more and more interns and really focus on making sure we're giving meaningful and valuable opportunities for our young people. So we've had students that, are just barely kind of scratching the surface of maybe I'm interested in a career in tech. I'm not really sure. I like making YouTube videos. We've heard things like that. We had a young man in particular that wasn't sure what he wanted to do, wasn't sure he wanted to go into college, but he was interested in YouTube. He ended up working for United Negro College Fund and making a campaign that they use nationally. They hired him and he went into community college to focus on that in school. So I say that to say that there are so many different opportunities in STEM in this city, and our students are just full of talent. And so we really want to make sure that we're matching them with opportunities that interest them. And we really try to do that. We pursue employers based on a lot of our interests of our students. And since 2013, when we began, we've had 900 internships in the city. And we're really proud of the partnerships we've developed. We have about 40 employers we work with, and each one has really dedicated their time with the students, they're mentoring the students. And we know networking is really the most important, part. They want to connect with people so that when they're ready to enter careers, they have people they can reach out to, that they can work with. And we really see that our employers think from the standpoint of, if this was my employee, someone I'm working with who is a colleague or someone who one day will have a seat at the table with me, what would I want to teach them? What would I want them to know so that they can be successful? And so we really focus on that. And we partner very closely with the school system and with some charter schools. Right now, we're at about 20 high schools and we're always expanding. We just really want to make sure that our students are able to take advantage of the different opportunities in the city.
What would you say, if I may, Hillary, what would you say are some of the key ingredients of success, especially for perhaps those youth who might not necessarily know what path to take in their lives? I will tell you that one of the sources of frustration for me when I was a young person was really not knowing what I wanted to do with myself. I knew I wanted to make a difference. I just didn't know how I should do so or how I could do so. What do you think are some of the ingredients that help youth navigate through the uncertainties of life and realize the opportunities that they might not otherwise be aware of?
Sure. I think that our students that are most successful are the ones that aren't afraid to take a risk, right? I think that just stepping out of their comfort zone and really taking the time to learn and listen from the people that are trying to teach them about different opportunities. I think that with our students, we've seen the most success for those that were just, open to learning and really open to learning about different opportunities. We've had students that have come in saying, I know that I want to be, a civil engineer. And then they get exposed to an opportunity and they say, hey, wait, I'm in love with digital marketing. I'm passionate about this. This is the career that I'm interested in. And so really giving them the opportunity to build that confidence and really feeling open to trying new things. And we really tried to build that very early on with our students. We do a lot of career exposure workshops and they get to hear from amazing professionals and hear about their journeys. And we try to be as honest and as real with them as possible and help make them make those decisions. So really, I would say just being open and having a mindset of, I really want to learn and I want to grow. And I think that really has been helpful with our students. And I think William and Nathan are great examples. Nathan has mentioned he's been back 3 times. And we think that is amazing. They really do decide that, I'm going to commit to being brave and taking a step out there and really just putting myself out there and trying to learn.
That's so inspiring. The concept of bravery and being open. We probably appreciate the talents that we have. What's really interesting about life is discovering the talents that we didn't even know we had. Absolutely. That we can contribute.
Absolutely.
That's really very inspiring. And speaking of inspiration, maybe we should turn to some of our youth who make the sun shine in places where only shadows loomed before. And maybe we'll turn to Davette first and hear from her. And on this day of commemoration and inspiration, we should always be inspired by Dr. King. Davette, maybe you can share with us a thought about what Dr. King's legacy means to you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for this opportunity to speak here. My name is Davette Williams, as you've mentioned. I am an alumni at Urban Alliance, and what his legacy means to me is to be able to continuously fight for anything that you believe in, no matter what circumstances come to stop you, no matter what the driving forces are that think they're going to stop you, you should continue to keep driving towards and persevere towards things that you feel are right within your morals, and no matter what is going to stop you. I think that is what his legacy means to me every single day.
Well, Davette, that's really just fantastic. And when we think about that, Elizabeth being the first to go to college, Hillary speaks of bravery. I think your commitment to justice and fighting for what one believes in, I think captures that just so momentously. Now you are you've been an intern at the extraordinary Department of Homeland Security.
Yes.
Why don't you share a little bit about your experience? And honestly, if you'd share like some of the highlights and also some of the lowlights. I'm curious to hear, because the fact of the matter is, it often is a fight, and we have to, commitment and stick to things, and we encounter obstacles. We'd love to hear from you, Davette, about the internship, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the most valuable things that I had in my internship with DHS was the beautiful part of it is I was able to be exposed to a wonderful team, something I had never experienced before, especially in a world that I never knew with the government. So being able to be with that team and realizing my potential and being able to be a part of something important in that organization and administration, it was eye-opening because it was new to me that I could be able to help something that was greater than me. The low, not a low, but it was the difficult part of adjusting to that was probably being able to work with something so grand, which even though it was very important, it was also a little bit of a struggle being able to prioritize and having to rely on people that you've never done before while also doing important things. It was quite a transition, but it was all worth it in the end because I was able to make great experiences and networks, and I loved my team. It was a team full of women, and it really stuck with me in the end. The fact that I came back again to the same organization like 2 years later, so it was.
Well, we're all the better for the fact that you did, and you know your comments about relying on other people. We don't accomplish things alone.
Right.
Dr. King did not march alone.
Right.
Did not speak alone. Now he led others, but a movement is not a movement of one. It is a movement of many, and but a special human being that drove others to action. And so, thank you for that, Davette. And what do you think? What do you think lies ahead for you next?
I'm still in the transition of that. I think I'm starting to experience more things now. I'm starting to get into healthcare. I'm taking more classes in school, and I'm starting to talk to a lot more people and network more often while still being to communicate with my organization about things that I want to do and still get assistance from them, quite actually. And it's been very significant for me. So,
Davette, do you do a good job of keeping in touch with the people that you've met along the way? Just speaking of, what Elizabeth and Hillary emphasize as being so important is that the network.
Yes. At first, when I first went there, it was a bit of a struggle. But then as I came back and I started to hear from more people, we got more advice on how important it is, like you just emphasized, on what it means to stick with people who help you throughout the way. So I've been able to get in touch more often. I send messages once a month as much as I can. I take a break from school. I see how they're doing. And I even did it for New Year's and Christmas, and they're doing quite well. They're a bit busy, but they're doing well. So.
Well, that's where you do a much better job than I do about keeping in touch with people. I'll tell you that if it's not at the workplace and in my home, I've lost all my friends through hard work. But good for you. And Davette, we just can't wait to see, support, and be a part of your future in whatever way works best for you. We're going to hang on to the comment of Davette Williams.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your interest in service. Let me turn to Zamiya. Sabour and Zamiya. Thank you, Davette. And Zamiya, I know we're all inspired, of course, by Davette's commitment and words, and equally so of what you have already begun to do in your young life. And we'd love to hear about that and what Dr. King's legacy means to you.
Thank you, Secretary, for this opportunity. I'm Zamiya Sabour, born and raised in Ward 7 of DC. I've been an alum of Urban Alliance since 2019, and I'm currently a junior at Howard, majoring in international business with a focus in marketing consulting. And I'm so glad to be here today in front of a lot of inspirational people and really have the opportunity to say what Dr. King's legacy means to me and what my DHS experience was like. But I think Dr. King's legacy to me just really means that I have an opportunity to be of impact, not to myself, but to other youth and other leaders around me. Dr. King has really showed me what the future of civil rights activism should look like, and creating a representation for equity among race, equity among job opportunities, and so much more. One of his quotes that he quoted and that I remember so often is that if you can't fly, then you can run. And if you can't run, then you can walk. And if you can't walk, then you can crawl. But whatever you have to do to keep moving forward, you should do that. And I think that that just shows commemoration to every day, no matter what it is, make an impact on your life and the lives of others around you.
Zamiya, that is so provocative and so inspiring. You're studying in international business, I think you mentioned, and what do you hope to do in that arena or in whatever you explore?
Definitely. My major in international business came from me having the opportunity to travel so young. I went to Alice Deal Middle School, and through 6th to 8th grade, I took French. And at our 8th grade spring break, they said, if you pass all your French classes and you are like a very active member within the French department, you can travel to France during the spring break. So during my 8th grade year, I had a chance to travel all the way across the country. And I think that within my future and within my career, I really want to create those eye-opening opportunities for youth. Much like Urban Alliance and much like on-ramps to careers, I really want to be an asset to the people within my community.
Well, you already are, Zamiya, and the strength of these organizations, you know, what the efforts that Elizabeth and Hillary lead. I just want everyone to understand that the example of the power of these organizations and these leaders of service we are seeing in Davette, in Zamiya, we're going to see in Nathan and William. It's really all about people. You know, I grew up professionally as a lawyer, and I used to say one could have a terrible case with great people and you're gonna have a great time. You can have a great case with lousy people, you're just not gonna have a good time. It's all about people and the privilege, you know, opportunity that is presented to one is a privilege. The opportunities one creates for oneself is an achievement. You know, Zamiya, you spoke about the principle of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and a champion of that in the Department of Homeland Security is Roland Edwards, who's really prioritized that as a fundamental value of government, and I hope it's a fundamental value of our society. We're seeing right now, quite honestly, quite a divide in our society. What do you think of the current state of that divide, Zamiya, in our country today?
I agree that it is a divide, and I think that a lot of this comes from people just not having enough passion to break that division. I think that examples like Roland he was a great mentor for me through my DHS internship experience. He wasn't in my direct office day to day, but every time that I seen him, it was just a life-touching experience. So to have those individuals who are really dedicated and inspired and full of inspiration to make that change is important, because we as a community are stronger. So if we can really collaborate on a lot of these issues, then I think that we have the power to conquer what seems impossible.
I have to tell you, I'm gonna bust out of this room after this webinar with rocket level energy because of what I'm hearing from and about the future of this country. Zamiya, thank you so much, and we will watch with excitement and support and participate with pride in what lies in store for you and what you create.
Thank you so much, Mr. Secretary.
And Roland, please take stock of the impact that you've had on Zamiya. It is reflective of the impact that you have on so many. Let me turn to Nathan. Zamiya, thank you so much. And Nathan, I know you are quite skilled in the computer science arena, where I am quite the dinosaur. love to hear from you about what Dr. King's legacy means to you, and how you are taking that meaning and making it a part of your life.
I think kind of similar to what Zamiya spoke about, and some of the points that we've hit on already a lot is about community. I was listening to a talk earlier at a group on campus, and one of the big things was that we admired Dr. King because of how much of a leader he was. But at the same time, he was a leader that we respect because he did such a good job at building up the community around him and inspiring people to go out on their own as a unit, right? He, in all of his marches, and when you read about the stories and when you look at the different movements, he's in arms with other people. He's praying with other people. His movement, he's preaching to other people, and those masses work together, and that's where things get done. And it was, and in those masses, he's very inclusive, right? You can't help us in our movement. There's no separation in that. And so having that inclusion to bring in a community that will really strive and is passionate towards one goal has been very impactful to me and how I try to live my life here, especially being in Atlanta and seeing the residual effects of that. Like Ebenezer Baptist Church is right down the street, and just hearing about the events, the different opportunities to go out and volunteer from so many organizations on MLK Day, it's just very inspiring to see that, because his leadership sparked that community that is everlasting, continues to work together, and togetherness is where those goals that we're trying to reach and aspire to be for greatness come from.
Nathan, those are beautiful words. And, the image of Dr. King, locked arm in arm with people. Yes, he was the leader, but it's a leader of equals, and that principle of equality. I have said before, in the Department of Homeland Security, because I'm the secretary, the organization chart in an institution is vertical when it comes to division of responsibility, but it is perfectly horizontal. It is perfectly flat when it comes to the stature of every individual. And I think your image of Dr. King locked arm in arm with people, and he was renowned across the country and the world, and the others might not have been, but he stood on the same ground with the same stature, because that's what human dignity is all about. Nathan, what are you doing now? What have you done, and where are you headed, so we can try to hang on to your heels and follow?
Well, right now I'm a Stamps President Scholar at the great Georgia Institute of Technology studying computer science. And I want to go into like virtual reality or augmented reality development. That is a cool passion of mine. I think it is going to be an amazing way to enrich educational practices, business practices that bring people together in a new and important way now that we see from COVID. Right, a lot of stuff is done virtually, and it feels weird to speak through just a computer screen, and it feels very isolating. But imagine making those virtual spaces where people can come together from longer distances, but it feels more real and it feels more impactful, and you still feel that much more connection. That's something that I really am passionate about and want to grow into through my computer science career. And I think the past things that have really helped and build that environment, it was working with my past internships in high school, and especially in DHS, when I work with the strategic workforce and like planning team. And through there, I got a lot of insight about how the numbers and how people interact and move through an organization. And that was one of my learning curves that was kind of a struggle, because I had never been in a big organization before, was seeing how many different tier levels there are, how many different sources of work come from different places. But now, as I grow in that, trying to build that for other people is something that I'm passionate about.
So inspiring. Nathan, I have a very quick virtual reality story to share with you. I've done it once. It was a virtual reality skiing. And as a kid growing up, I never skied for two reasons. Number one, we couldn't afford it. And number two, you know, I grew up in an immigrant family, and my mom, if I had told her that I was going to put my body on 2 sticks and go down the mountain, she would have thought she had raised a lunatic. But
don't worry, mine too.
but I skied in virtual reality, and I was headed towards a cliff, and so I swung hard to the right. Unfortunately, I actually swung hard to the right with my entire body, and suffered a mild concussion. And I haven't skied since, virtually or really. But Nathan, you know, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, the power of computing. This, you know, we're looking in the Department of Homeland Security about how, you know, we can harness those advances and those opportunities through people like you to really be a modern, cutting edge government department. So we're gonna work really hard to recruit you from the Georgia Institute of Technology, and I know the competition is going to be is very, very stiff. How did you come to that? How did you come to that institution, that skill set? Because that's quite an achievement.
Well, I would say like one of like the major things is I feel like to get to a place like a school like this is to have the confidence in yourself and the belief that you can achieve here. And doing the internships at DHS or doing the internship at other on-ramps programs was very impactful in that because I was able to do new things. I was able to figure out that I can learn stuff that I've never seen before. When working with DHS, I'd never seen Power BI, and that was a lot of data and a lot of trying to move that around. But because I had that opportunity to see how I learn and to try and push myself with that curiosity, I was able to convey that in my process of trying to get into the schools. Like, I want to be curious and I want to continue to learn. And that's where that success comes in at the college level. That's right.
Well, that's just really remarkably beautiful. To the power of believing in oneself, that one can do anything. When we take a look at Dr. King, he tragically lost his life. When one thinks about the age at which he lost his life, at a young age, and to think of everything that he did, and how his legacy will endure forever. And he achieved that at such a youthful age. It's really stunning. Confidence in oneself, belief in oneself, and belief in the power of people. If we hear an explosion on this screen, it's only because Elizabeth and Hillary have bursted with pride in what we see in the people that they are encouraging forward. Nathan, thank you so much. And let me turn to your brother, William, who helped me navigate through this Zoom before we started the webinar to overcome my technological incompetence. And he very, very honestly said that he's not quite as skilled as you are. So I find that hard to believe, because everyone has just been so extraordinary. William, do you have some thoughts to share about Dr. King's legacy, what it means to you, and how you're making that a part of your life?
Thank you, Secretary. My name is William McAlpine. I'm at Lafayette College currently, and the irony of what you said is I've been studying Dr. King this last semester, and I got to really get more in-depth conversation with a lot of his literature and a lot of what he did. And one thing I really got from him is his commitment to just knowledge, dedication, and surrounding himself by other people he could learn from. Because one unsung hero that was really strong in his life was Bayard Rustin, who taught him about nonviolence, who taught him how to do community and political activism, and how they both worked together and integrated it in their lives to be better advocates. And I think one thing that a lot of young people can learn, and a lot of older people can learn as well, is that being able to learn what you're fighting for and what you're searching for and that commitment to continue learning those things so it doesn't seem as daunting. Because especially in this current political climate, it can feel very intimidating to want to create social change, to want to do better, to achieve those goals. But one of the biggest things you can do is just learn each specific piece and tackle each specific piece as you go along. And when you're willing to commit yourself to that knowledge and commit yourself to breaking it down piece by piece, it doesn't look as crazy as when you first look at this problem. And I think going through my internship at DHS, being exposed to just how much little things go into making Homeland Security work, that goes into Customs Border Protections, the little pieces of details that are needed and how everyone works together. That was really impactful for me coming into Homeland Security and going through on-ramps, and just having a great mentor in Tracy D. Roy, just putting her arms around me and introducing me to her whole team and bringing me into the fold day one, and not being afraid to say, hey, I know you can handle this. I want you to tackle one small assignment after the other, and then it'll all come together and really help the team and help the program and everything like that. So I thought that was just really impactful of what King did and just integrating that into my life.
Also incredibly beautiful. You know what one of the great things about learning is? It's a never-ending process. Never-ending. William, what did you do? What did you do at DHS?
I was in the Customs and Border Protection Division, specifically with their revenue and policy. So mostly they worked with a lot of different vendors that were trying to get into the system and import certain things in. And so I kind of helped maintain that format and the, not the website, but the specific integration system that they use of how to put your stuff in, how to communicate with DHS so this process moves smoothly. So there's a lot of external communication with other businesses and programs along with my supervisor. So I really enjoyed it.
William, I see some neat photographs behind you. Would you are those what are those?
Oh, well, this is from the Grossman House, which I'm co-president of. It's an international service dorm, so it has a lot of different students that come all across the world. My roommate is from Ghana, and so all these are different pictures of people that have studied abroad. And the bottom one is when they went to Ecuador, and the top one is when they went to Madagascar. And it's just pictures of different people that have lived in this house and have dedicated themselves to service whenever they go abroad, and to doing things in those communities, and then bringing those perspectives back and sharing them with the rest of us. That's
amazing. You know, my barber is Ghanaian. It's a remarkable. I haven't fired him, but I'm very loyal. It's a wonderful establishment, a small-owned business here. A number of the barbers are from Ghana. What the power of the individual can mean is the world shrinks in size, which is a beautiful thing. And William, what do you hope? What do you hope to do with all of your remarkable talent and commitment to making the world better?
I hope to take a lot of the knowledge I've gotten over my 4 years at Lafayette College to become a social scientist and work with a lot of local governments and companies of how to understand the people they want to help, so that they're giving them the right solutions that they need, and make sure that they have a seat at the table and that their voice is recorded and heard, so we can make sure we get it right. Especially when you look at Martin Luther King's Drum Major Instinct speech, a lot of it was about, it's not always about being first, it's about getting it right and doing the right by the people you want to help. So I do want to make sure that's my goal, that when we do work with communities, we're doing right by them. And I can't wait to graduate this year.
Well, congratulations on that. You know, one of the greatest things about being in government, in being in service, is it's all about doing the right thing. It's not about not about winning and losing. It's about doing the right thing. There was, when I was a government lawyer earlier in my career, there was a famous quote by a Supreme Court justice that said that an assistant United States attorney does not prevail by winning or losing a case, but rather by doing justice. And that's the beauty of service, is the ability to deliver justice in the very many different ways it manifests itself in our lives, and can manifest itself in our lives. Well, I am incredibly grateful to everyone who's participated in this, to all of you, Nathan, Zamiya, Davette, William, for inspiring us, Hillary and Elizabeth for creating the springboard for so many young people to make this world a better place. And Roland, I'm going to turn it back over to you with incredible gratitude for you and what you do for our department and therefore for our country. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so proud to be a part of today's conversation on this special day in recognition of a special human being.
Thank you so much, Mr. Secretary. And you know, I would be remiss, sir, if I didn't say that you have been extremely gracious on this call with your time, with quite frankly this event in particular. But so that's kind of the personal brand that we've come to know from you in the department. For those who knew you before, when you were coming in, folks wanted to know, hey, can you tell me a little bit about what the secretary is going to be like? And so the personal brand that everyone basically says about you is that you are really about the workforce, and that you are, will do everything that you can to make DHS a place that number one meets the mission, but also that tied with that is that it focuses on the people and makes it a place where people want to come work. So, sir, just want to say thank you to you.
Thank you, Roland, for the kind words.
Yes, sir. Sir, we had one question that came in, but it is for our youth panelists. And so I would love to give our youth panelists the opportunity to respond. The question says, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? And how can those listening in the audience or those of your fellow panelists best support your endeavors to lead and co-create positive change? So you can take any part of that question that you might want to answer. Either where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? And I hope for several of you, it's DHS. But for those, how can we help you? How can we continue to support your growth? Maybe Davette, do you want to take that one first?
Sure, absolutely. Sorry, I was struggling with the mute button. I think that supporting us would help more in, of course, continue to have us and accept us for where we are and where we came from, and just being able to, I guess, expose us to more, however it can fit our future careers. I know I've heard a lot about technology and businesses. And I think for me, since I'm going on the healthcare path, I want to be able to, this can answer the first part of the question. What I want to do is I want to, like Hillary and Miss Elizabeth, I want to open my own kind of business to be able to submit a resource in the lower communities that don't really have it. I want to be able to help youth and younger children with their mental health. And I know that they don't really have that much of a exposure to that. So I want to be able to bring my resources and my help and my knowledge and share it with them, and help in any other ways that I can as well. Whereas it's like providing math services in the same building, just a start for being able to put something there that was never there before. So I think that's what I want to do.
That was so inspiring. Thank you very much for that, Davette.
Thank you.
Maybe one of our guys. So either Nathan or William. Nathan, how about you?
I would say I'm not 100% sure where I want to be in the next 5 to 10 years, and that's okay, because I feel like right now I am as much as I have those dreams of what I want to do, I'm also in a state of just being curious and wanting to learn more. So the continuation of how to help with that is, whether it be me or other young people in your life that are aspiring to reach new heights, is just that continued mentorship. When we reach out to ask for help, or reach out, just maybe reach out, see how they're doing. And it can be a two-way street, because we learn a lot from you guys and you guys can learn a lot from us. And that continued conversation, like, I really appreciate this panel here now, because some of the questions, like asking where I am in 5 to 10 years, that forces me to think. And those kind of guiding questions and helping us along our path and getting us to be reflective about where we've been and where we're going is really helpful in painting a picture of how I want to take my next steps to reach greater heights, or just keep doing what you're doing, being an amazing role model. And I can look on where you've been and what you're going. And I'm like, okay, I can take this piece. It's kind of how we're thinking about Martin Luther King, right? How are we inspired by him? Just being an inspiration for us is the best thing you can do to help us along on our success, and just continuing to prove and be supportive.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I have to tell you all, the comments in the chat for our panelists, especially our youth panelists, if you have not had a chance to read them, they are amazingly inspiring. And I would like to echo their comments. Hearing from you all, hearing what you're planning to do in life, and it just makes me excited. And I think I'm going to be blasting off like the secretary, because, it's just that, just this opportunity to hear from you all directly, and hear how the department in some way, in the Urban Alliance, as well as On-Ramps, has been able to play a role in that. And look forward to you all continuing to tell that story, reach back, help others see them, and help them inspire them as well, which I know you will continue to do. I wanted to make sure as we close out that I can just say DHS prides itself on having and continuing to acquire a diverse workforce, and being an organization where top talent wants to come and work and grow in their careers. So DHS is not just a law enforcement agency, but we have exciting positions across many career fields. So please check the chat. We're going to post some links for some exciting career opportunities and initiatives across DHS. Most provide the opportunity for full-time employment. And so I just want to make sure that for those who are interested in that, you're at that point in your career, that you continue to take and look at DHS as a viable option. The other thing is, if you don't remember to come back to the chat, at a minimum, just go to www.dhs.gov/careers and follow us there, so that you can see if there are any opportunities for us that fit with where you are planning to go in life. And you said it exactly right, Nathan. You may not know now, as long as you're curious, you will get there. And so we definitely appreciate that, and appreciate everyone's time today on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And so thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for joining this webinar. And to all of our great panelists, thank you so much for your time today. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you all so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys
you all
so much.
Thank you for listening and participating.